Good morning, everyone. Welcome into our Saturday morning coaches show, and we have a full guest list today. We've got Clark Cipoletta here to talk about Wildcats basketball. Alexi Upton is going to talk about Wildcat soccer, and then later, a late arrival will be Brittany Tisdell, and she'll be talking about Lady Cats basketball. So a lot to talk about on the show. So we'll just go ahead and dive in, and let me explain again, as I did last week. We have roofers working, and they're kind of in our area today, so you may hear some sounds. You may hear a lot of sound. Sometimes they get pretty loud, but we hope we can persevere. Right now, just a lot of thumping around up there. But in case you hear that in the background, that's what's going on. Quickly, and other things, Lady Cat soccer, 2 road games this week. They did not play last night. They'll be at Pleasant Grove on Tuesday and then at Wiley East on Friday. That's a team that seemed like they've met a lot in playoffs. Baseball practice will begin on Friday. Softball practice began yesterday. Powerlifting is at Emory Rains today for a meet. It's their second meet after the Sulphur Springs meet. And Wildcat tennis will have 2 matches this week. Tennis, anyone? With this weather we're having, but they always get started in January, so they have to bundle up. They play Tuesday at Sherman and Thursday at a John Tyler tournament. So that's everything else. And now Coach Cipoletta with us to talk about Wildcats basketball. And an interesting game last night, a very, very competitive district game, as we've come to expect, Coach, where everybody, knows they better step it up, or we can have the tendency to embarrass them, but they, give us their best shot. And last night, nip and tuck until the very end, and then the Wildcats go on a 10-0 run and won 64-55. Your thoughts on the game last night?
Well, in talking with their coach, Coach Skinner, he was there 5 years ago. My very first year as head coach, we went against each other, and I thought he kind of hit it on the head. He said, man, when I left the district, they won the district. I think they swept it his last year there, and I think they were pretty much the only competitive team at that time during district play. He says, I left for 5 years and come back, and now it's a basketball district. So that just goes to show, man, each and every night you're going to really have to show up and play. There's not an easy team in our district. Everybody, if they're playing us, we have a big target on our back. I feel like every team plays their best against us. So I thought our kids did a really good job of persevering. We played really well on the offensive end, had well over a point per possession. From that side of things, we shot the ball really well. Different kids stepped up at different times. But then Texas High just wouldn't go away. They kept making tough shots, and it's just one of those games you got to hold on to the very end. And like you said, that 10-0 run late in the game, and we really buckled down and made a few plays to win the game, I think is what separated us.
It was interesting because 2 times they really kind of challenged us where they took the lead, one in the first half, right in the second quarter near the end, and then right near the end of the game, probably 2 or 3 minutes left to play. They also, take the lead at 55-54 before we go on that run. In each case, there actually was a game of 2 runs because there was a 6-0 run going into the half and then the 10-0 run at the end of the game. And so key to us pulling this out were those 2 big runs.
Yeah, and the basketball is a game of runs. You just got to withstand them and try to get more runs than the other team. But I thought different players stepped up in times that really helped ignite that run. I thought in the first half, Boo Wilkerson just carried us on his back. I think he had 4 or 5 threes, had 20 points on a night, and he really just, stepped up and made plays. They tried to take Sadadrian away in the low post. They try to take Cam away in the low post. So when you try to take a person away, it leaves somebody open. And I thought we did a good job of finding Boo and then making them pay for that. So that kind of helped ignite some of those runs. And then late, call a timeout, I think about a minute and a half to go, and I didn't even have to say anything. Day kind of took the team and, said some things that really helped, fire us up. And we went out there and, got the job done.
I found Justin Brock after the game last night, and I told him that I thought he really made some big plays. 6 points, but yet a big 3 right before the end of the first half that gave us 3 more points on our lead. We had a 5-point lead at the time. And then near the end, one of the most exciting plays, he steps in the passing lane and anticipating a pass and steals it, and he goes down and puts on a fake and lets the guy sail by him and then hits the little short jumper there.
Yes, and in the locker room after a game, we really mentioned, those were game-winning plays, and those are just two of a few that he made. He did a very good job defensively in, executing our scout reports, knowing what to do. He's one of the smartest defenders I have, if not the smartest outside of Boo. He's just really instinctual, just really knows what the coaching staff wants on that end, and he does such a great job of, like I said, executing that. So he made some big plays, and without those two big plays that you mentioned, I don't know if we would have came out on top.
Absolutely. And we're so used to talking to Boo, and I'm sure he didn't take the night off on defense. It seemed like, he was very, very active on defense, but to see him explode on offense, that's a good thing to see, and he was red hot from the three.
He was. It was funny because before the game, on the way over, we were talking, me and Boo, and I said, it's been a while since you've had a good game on offense. So we were talking. I said, what plays do you like? Tell me a couple of sets that I could run for you to maybe get you going a little bit more early, because we really need you to step up. And I guess he took that personally and did a good job. But he does an amazing job defensively as well. He's one of the best defenders I've ever coached. And the crazy thing about last night is we started them off on somebody, they didn't score, and then another guard from Texas High gets hot, so I have to take somebody else off that guy and put Boo on this guy, and then somebody else is getting hot. So really, it was unique that any guard that Boo guarded last night didn't score, but I kept having to mix them around between 3 or 4 guards because Texas High just did a really good job of, attacking us and making it difficult for us to stay in front of. So I wish I had 3 or 4 Boos. That would make our defensive side a little bit better. But and it's a team defensive concept. So, but hats off to Boo really buckling down and carrying a load for us.
I got the impression the officials really going to let the guys play.
Yes.
Pretty much. There were very, very few fouls. In fact, in both the Lady Cats and the Wildcats games, teams got in the position where they needed to foul to try to send the other team to the line, and there were so few fouls called, they just had 1 or 2 team fouls. They have to foul and foul and foul, and the time keeps just shrinking.
It does, and that to me really plays in our hands when refs let us play. Because we're a physical team, we're physical down low. We try to get out and guard physically on the perimeter, and we try to guard the right way. We spend a lot of time in not fouling and teaching our kids how to not foul, and showing the referees your hands and trying to stay vertical when we block shots. So that's a huge emphasis of ours because you don't want to send teams to the free throw line. So I think when the game's being called that way, I think that benefits us tremendously.
I know what a thorough coach you are. Do you ever invite officials in to talk about these are the things we look for, or you can't do this, or we'll allow that, or to kind of get an insight into the way they call the game? 100%.
I talked to a lot of referees, and kind of what the emphasis is on the year. We have we used the Paris chapter this year, and so we have a Paris chapter meeting where we go in, but I'll also call some guys I know personally who are refs and just kind of talk about, well, what if we do this? Would this be a foul? Or if we screen this way and switch it? So I'm always trying to get that edge, when it comes to getting away with stuff, or just how to teach things, where it's not a foul and where we could stay out of trouble. So I think that's just a little part of the execution. But then again, we apply it, and then in practice our kids, build the habit of it. And they do such a tremendous job of executing it in a game.
And you've been in so many tournaments, you've seen so many officials
Right.
from all kinds of places, and so a lot of times it's in game, you're saying, now what happened there, or why did we get
Yes.
the foul there, or what happened, and most of the times, I think if you're courteous, the officials will have the conversation with you.
Yeah, about 95% of the time, a referee will really help explain, what they did wrong. For example, Cameron Kahn, who takes a lot of charges, and you'll have referees that love calling charges, and then you'll have referees that don't hardly call charges. So we really try to, figure out what we did wrong. If Cam slid over, I'm going to ask the ref, was he not set? Was he sliding? Did he fall back early. So hopefully in the game, in the midst of stuff, we can really, help correct that. And I can tell Cam, hey, next time, you got to get there before he does, or you didn't go straight up. So that just really helps us, and it helps the kids to, just correct it on the fly. So hopefully the next time when we try to execute it, we get the benefit of the doubt.
Strange schedule that we have. It's just the way things
Right.
fall, and we a 3-game road trip basically. Game 1 was last night in Texas High, and this is Road Warrior Week for both you and the Lady Cats team. Going to Royce City on Tuesday, and then a trip to Lindale on Friday. What kind of season has Royce City had this year?
Oh, they're huge. This is the biggest team he's had. I was watching some film of them last night on the way home on the bus, and they got 6'9" in the middle, 6'8", and like another 6'6" kid in their 2-3 zone. They're really athletic. They graduated a couple of key seniors off last year's team as far as guard play, but they have all their bigs back, and he does such a good job, Coach Jacobs, of mixing it up, running some different unique zones and just stuff you don't always see. So you have to especially prep for it on a day-to-day basis. So we'll really have our hands full. His kids always play hard. They play together. So they'll be a really scrappy team. And then you go play Lindale, who's one of the, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in East Texas or Texas in general. I have a lot of respect for Coach Grodeback as well. Just really does stuff the right way, always prepares his teams. 4 games, you could just tell in going in that he always gives his teams the best chance to win. And they actually upset Greenville last night, 43-42.
Wow.
So that just goes to show you kind of the how tough our district can be. So these will be 2 key road games for us. So hopefully, throughout the course of the season, we've played a lot of road games. So hopefully, we're prepped for this battle that's coming.
Sounds like we're tied for first then, with maybe several other teams. I'm not sure. I have not seen the district standings, so I'm not sure.
Us, Mount Pleasant, and Greenville are in a 3-way tie. We
Okay.
hold the tiebreaker over Mount Pleasant. Greenville holds it over us. So we'll see, and moving forward, how things shake out. So we're just trying to take it one game at a time, and if that's winning district, if that's second, third, whatever it comes out to. But just hopefully we're focused on Royce City right now and just trying to beat them and just become better in these couple of days of preps that we get.
I remember reflecting back on the Royce City game last year. Of course, the big moment, Boo Wilkerson. Maybe this is Boo time. Maybe we're moving into Boo time. We
Boo
certainly
season.
saw it last night. But he hits the huge 3
Right.
that takes us from behind 1 or maybe ahead 1 or 2 or something. But then they had a last shot, and I think Jeremiah Rowland went down and blocked it for you. But the kid that took the shot seemed like really wore us out. I don't know if he graduated or not, but it seemed like they had one kid that just really had a ball game against us, and I don't know his status this year.
Yeah, he's still there.
Still there.
Lucky for us. Not-
Who your assignment is.
Yes, he is. He's a little 5'7", 5'8" guard. He's really quick. And the funny thing about last year, I hardly put him on a scouting report. They had 2 other guards who were really, really good, having really good seasons, and this kid was averaging about 5 or 6 a game. He was an underclassman, and then he comes to our place, and we let him score 30. So this year he's having a really good year. He's one of their main guys. So like you said, Boo will definitely have his work cut out. We'll have to know where he is at all times. So hopefully, you can withstand those storms. They're going to obviously shoot it better at their place than they will ours. So just finding ways to win, going on those 10-0 runs, those 6-0 runs to end the half, and coming up with 1 or 2 huge plays like a Brock did last night and other players. So that's what it takes to keep moving forward and compete for district titles on day in and day out basis. It's not going to be easy just because you're ranked or because you've played people. When it goes into district time, it's a completely different ball game. It just seems like none of that stuff matters. It all goes out the window, and it's 0-0. Your records are 0-0. No one's ranked, and you just better show up and play. So we just got to keep doing that.
Yeah, I keep expecting it to be easy, and it's just not. Those 2 road games, very, very, touch and go. The Greenville,
Right.
and then last night in Texas High. I hope I wasn't seeing a replay, but it worked out good. The home game was nice. Mount Pleasant, I think that got people's attention. I was talking to Coach Skinner last night, and he said, "What happened?
Yeah.
How'd you guys beat Mount Pleasant like that?"
Yeah, and our guys just do a tremendous job, especially at home, of executing what we ask them to do, and and going into a game plan when you just follow step-by-step instructions, it obviously gives you a better chance to win. And we take our scouting reports very seriously. We tell them, you're going to be tested. It's like a test in school, and this is the cheat sheet that we're going over right now. If you have a cheat sheet for a test, you're obviously going to have a much better chance at acing that test. So our scouting reports are something that we don't take lightly. We go over it day in and day out, and we try to really get thorough. I have a very smart team. This is one of the smartest teams I've coached, so we can kind of do, several different things on the scouting report where I don't have to keep it as simplistic as I had to for some of the past year's teams. And I think that just gives us another step of advantage, when it comes down to games like this. So we just got to keep playing, keep doing the little things right, and just try to find a way.
One last question. This is not a big milestone, but you picked up your 20th win of the season last night.
Nice. That is a good milestone when you win 9 games your first year here and 11 the second year. It takes you 2 years to win.
Your first 2 years.
Yeah. So that's something to be proud of, and I hope the expectations of our program, of myself, the expectations I've had, they're just constantly changing. And when I was early on in my career, wins kind of mattered. You always wanted to have those resume wins and build it up. So when you're talking to family members or your friends, yeah, we won 30 games. I'm at 50 wins now. But the older I get, the more wiser I think I become, and none of that stuff really matters. It just ends up you're just trying to win your last game, and that's kind of where our perspective is now. And if that's 30 wins, if that's 27 wins, we're just trying to win the last one and compete for district titles, compete for regional titles on a year in, year out basis, and just trying to move towards that.
Very good, Coach. Good luck on the road this week. Royce City Tuesday and Lindale on Friday. Appreciate you coming by, and I know you'll be busy the rest of the day, and have a good weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's take a break here, our first internal break, and Alexi Upton comes on to talk Wildcat soccer right after this break. We're up. Thank you, Doug, very much. I was sitting here talking with Alexi Upton about the hammering and banging going on, but again, you'll hear a little bit of that, but they're working on the roof today, and so hopefully they'll leave that saw off, though. Boy, that thing is really, when they start firing that up, it gets really, really loud. Glad to have Alexi Upton with us. And Coach, how was it to look over there and see your old high school there that you played for, Mesquite Poteet, on the other side of the field? What kind of feeling did you have on that?
Yeah, it was definitely different. I think I told one of my kids when the game was going on, I was like, wow, I never thought this would actually happen. I never thought I'd play my old school. So that was really cool. It was a really nice experience for us. And, I even told our kids at the start of the game, I go, hey, listen, if you're not come prepared to work, you ain't going to play long on the field. I go, we're not going to lose this game. This is not a game that we will lose. I go, so just keep that in the back of your mind. And everybody was like, oh, okay, he's serious today. So, it was a great game. We played really well. We executed really well. Clark talked a lot about, when you have answers to the test, you're going to do well. And, I still know a lot of those kids over there. So, when you know all the threats and you know how they're going to play, it's kind of like you have a cheat sheet. And so, our kids knew who to mark and who to cover, and we executed really well from there.
Have they changed their style much from the Colby Peak days? Obviously, each coach puts their own mark on the program.
Yeah, I think they're a little more possession-based now. When we were under Colby and under my time there, we were more direct, and we wanted to go, and score a lot of goals. They're a lot more possession now. They want to keep the ball. They were trying to build up. So they're a little different. But they still have that great work ethic. I noticed in their kids that they still have a really great work ethic. Everybody's still working really hard. So I was really impressed with the way that their kids play.
All right, and we obviously played very, very well, 3-0. And so I think 1 goal in the first half and 2 in the second half. So tell us about those 3 goals.
Two in the first half and 1 in the second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one was very first one was David Moreno, and that's his first goal of the year, which is great. Which is great because
was it on like a corner?
Yeah, it was on a corner. He gets to come up and head him in, and he's an awesome kid, and he's just such a great talent. He's a captain. He was last year as a sophomore, again this year as a junior. He will be as a senior. He's just one of our, best kids in the program. Just, overall, great attitude, great everything. So, whenever he gets a goal, we all get jacked up because, he deserves it. He really deserves it. And then Nabian Ramirez is actually on his 3rd goal this year, from playing left back.
Wow.
He just had a tap in, it was kind of bouncing around. He kind of came in and just tapped it in. So really great for him. I think he's our third leading goal scorer with 3. So, so that's great for him. And then Kevin Yanez had a PK at the end that he missed, but then got his own rebound and finished it off. So great for him. It was an overall great game. The kids that I didn't know, they came back to us. They came back to me after the game, and we kind of sat and talked for a little bit. And even their coach came over as well and was just like, hey, you guys look really good. He was like, your guys work really hard. Your guys press really hard. Your guys have a ton of effort, a ton of energy. Y'all are physical and fast. And, so it's always great to hear that. It's great to hear that, your work is coming together. People appreciate you and admire your team and how you're setting your team up and how your kids play. And so, that was really great to hear. It made me feel really happy and really proud of our group and our kids. So.
Kevin Yanez, we talked about him, what an assist guy he's been.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him. He's beginning to get on the score sheet with the goals now, so that's good to see.
Yeah, he's on 8, 9 assists. I have to go back and look at my stats, but he's close to he's close to 10. He's got a great start to the year. There's a couple colleges interested in him. He's been talking about 3 or 4. So hopefully he progresses on to the next level. But yeah, he's been really great. He's been really crucial for us. Everybody's gonna have their moments. He turns over the ball like everybody else. He makes mistakes like everybody else. But offensively, he's been doing great and making a lot of assists for us. So.
He's kind of a key cog in there, as you transition from defense to offense.
Yeah.
He's kind of right in the middle and distributing the ball and everything, almost like a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like our point guard. It's like we find him and then he starts the transition. So, he's a real key piece to us. And I hope some colleges that are interested in him come in and look at that and see that and like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy can maybe do that for us at the next level too. So. Still working on getting all these kids off to the next level. We got 14 seniors, so there's a couple of them that are going to start moving on, and so we're still working on that. But yeah,
Looked like I've been hearing about some practices for some junior colleges and stuff. I know you're players, and you're very aware of that, and I know probably a lot of them will attend and kind of show what they got.
Yeah, we got some guys going out to some visits soon. We got some guys going out to some tryouts soon, so. It'll be good, hopefully when it's all said and done and March and May roll around, we can sit them all down and, they'll all have a picture in front of them and we'll be good to go. So that'll be really great.
You had some of that in your first year, and that's great to see. That kind of shows where your program's going and how it's advancing and that kids are signing and people are noticing the way we play.
Yeah, we actually, first year we actually didn't get anybody, but this year we're getting somebody from the first year to go on to college. Andrew Escobar, that we all loved so much, is actually coming. He's actually came back to me and expressed interest in playing college, and so he's talking to Texas College and Tyler and PJC right now currently.
Right.
So he's hopefully going to go to one of those too. So it's good that we just want to get guys off to college. That's the big thing. We want to get guys off to college. If they want to keep playing soccer, that's awesome. We're going to get them keep playing soccer too. But we care about their future and we want them to see them really grow and advance. So
seemed like he was one of those kids that maybe cross country and I think didn't even play golf or something.
Played golf. He was a great golfer. He was a great golfer.
He has a lot. He was very good. He's good in everything.
Yeah, he's just one of those kids that he'll pick up something and he's just a stud. We'd have team dinners, at League Street Church, and they have an open little, area to play basketball, and he played basketball, and he's like the best basketball player too. It's like, dude, what can you not do?
Yeah, really.
So I mean, he's just one of those kids. He's just a competitor. When I do the recruiting and I send out emails to college coaches and I describe our kids, I just tell them the truth. And Andrew, I'm like, hey, small guy, little guy, but he's a competitor. He's gonna go compete. You're gonna want him and you're gonna love him. And I talk about DJ. Strong, physical kid that never does anything wrong. It's just a total joy to have. Talk about Omar. Blazing fast, great work ethic, talented kid. So I always just tell the truth, and I think coaches appreciate that, and then they end up calling because they want to see our kids and they're interested in our kids. So. Just a whirlwind of stuff that we've been doing lately. But, to win Poteet yesterday was really great, and that was really exciting for me. And, I just walked off the field, and I was like, sweet, that just happened. Awesome.
Yeah, and you talked about Nabian being back. I guess it's their call. If they see an opportunity, they move up. But they have to be very sensitive with getting back, always back on.
Yeah, they're defense first. But when they if they have no person to cover or nothing to really mark, or nobody's really in their zone or per se. They're free to kind of go venture forward a little bit and try to create goals. And Ricardo's had a couple assists this year from the right side, and then Navy from the left side's had a couple goals. So they have their moments where they get forward and help out, and so that's kind of what they're there for. Defense first, but then if you can go.
Sure.
And they've done a really good job of it this year.
You see yourself as mainly a defensive coach. It seemed like our defensive side of our team kind of came to the front. I still think about that Jacksonville effort, where we just choked the heck out of them. But it's kind of defense first, but you want to score. You can't, you end up 0-0.
We reference Colby Peak a lot, and one of the best things he ever told me was, if it's 0-0, you're in the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you can't argue with that. So, I tell our kids that all the time. I go, hey, if there's a 0 on the scoreboard, we're always in a game. No matter who we play. We've played all these ranked teams, all these high-level talent. But, hey, we keep 0s on the scoreboards or maybe 1s on the scoreboards. You're always in it, and you always have a chance. So I always teach our kids defense first and, stay in the game, and you never know when you're going to get your chance and win it. So.
Do you see the team heating up a little bit?
Yeah.
It seemed like in the win column, we're now over 500, 5-4-4. And at one time, of course, you start in that really, really tough tournament and have a hard time with some of those teams. And so you kind of, the schedule's been tough, but that's by design.
Yeah.
And so it looked like the team's kind of coming along.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started in 2 hard tournaments, honestly, because, this right after we got done with Frisco, freaking 20 state championships or more between all the teams in that tournament. We went to Longview and we played Jacksonville and Lufkin. I mean, those are arguably 2 of the top 6 in this region.
Every year.
Yeah. So, we went from one hard tournament to the next one. And so, we are heating up a little bit. It's, we're kind of, coming back down to reality, and we're playing, mid-level guys now rather than the elites. And, we're kind of seeing like, oh, hey, dang, we've been playing all these elites for so long. We're kind of like coming back down to these guys, and we're like, oh, okay, we can play with these guys. So it's, that really shows that our program's growing, because we're getting back to the mid-level guys, and we're handling them, and we're taking care of them. And we're like, okay, cool. So, it's just baby steps, and we're getting better to where we want to be. So.
Well, mid-level guys, but maybe you're making an exception on Friday. Here's a team that was ranked maybe 4th in the region at the beginning of the season. You shared those rankings with us, and Lovejoy.
Oh, Lovejoy, yeah.
And seemed like at least twice seemed like we played them in bi-district, and always big, really, really tough games. And I was always I admired the way the 2 teams reacted when they were through. They really congratulated each other for like, man, this was a great game between the 2 of us.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just meant mid-level on Poteet. No, we got plenty more studs to play. We got Mount Pleasant District, Lovejoy on Friday. We got plenty more ranked teams in our schedule. Lovejoy's really good. They're always really good. We went to their house and tied them 1-1 last year. They kind of dominated us a little bit, though, to be honest. And they're really good. They're really skilled. They got a lot of high-level club kids that play year-round. They're always going to be a really great talent. They've had some up and down results themselves. They kind of have about the same record we do, but they're a very talented group. So.
Yeah, you really kind of, as you get ready for district play, you're really kind of testing yourself. Lovejoy and Community is a ranked team, a little bit smaller, Class 4A, but that doesn't mean they can't play soccer. Those guys are very, very good.
Yeah, Community, Lovejoy this Friday and then Community next Friday, and both games will be really great. And hopefully we can just kind of build on those and then just jump into district and really see where we're at.
You like where your team is right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're playing really well. Athletically, we can match anybody. I think defensively, we can match anybody. And so that's awesome for us to see that we're matching up with the best in this region and playing with them. And Clark made jokes about how he went 9 wins his first year and 11 his second year, and in my first year and our second year, we've gone and competed with great teams in this region. So that's really great to see that we're making such strides so quickly. And I just credit it all to our kids. They're so hardworking. They're just so hungry to win. They're so hungry to compete. And everybody comes and says it. Even Poteet kids after the game, Poteet coaches. Your kids work hard. Your kids are great. Your kids are hungry. Your kids want to win. And I'm like, yeah, we do. And they're great kids. So really love being here. Really love having these kids.
Are you a better coach in your second year than the first year? What do you think?
I think our
tell us about Alexia.
I think our kids have grown from first year to second year. I don't think anything's changed in my perspective. I think our kids have started to realize, what we really want out of our program, where we want to go, And I think that's what's made us better. I don't think it's anything I've changed or done. I think our kids have just grown and matured and understand what's expected of them. And I think that's why, our JV group looks really great. Our varsity group looks really great because everybody's starting to understand the expectations. And I think that's what's made us really great.
One thing I've noticed last year, like your first game or something, the first real game, I think it was a loss, and we almost had to talk you down off the ledge, because, and that's pretty typical of a young coach.
Yeah.
Everything is bigger than life, your first game, your first loss, or all these things. But this year, you have a bad game, you say, we have a couple of those a year, and you move on. So I think you've matured as a coach, and that happens. A veteran coach is always, he's seen a lot more, but I've seen many a young coach, and they live and die with every win and loss.
Yeah. No, we kind of imploded in that Frisco tournament in one of our early games, and I think that was a little maturity on my behalf. I was just like, we imploded. It is what it is, and we'll move on. And the kids were like, but we just got killed. And I'm like, guys, we got another game in 4 hours. It's good. Like, we'll move on. And then we went and played Caprock in the Star and beat them 3-1, right after getting destroyed. So, you just got to move on. You just got to keep playing hard and keep fighting. And our kids are doing a great job of that right now. So hopefully we can grab a win Friday and then another win community, and then we can roll into district. That's our goals. So.
You lost your main assistant, Javier, went over to the girls program. It looked like he's
doing great, though.
Great job, really, with those girls.
Yeah.
I think they're really coming along, too, as a team. But you got a new assistant. How's Salvador working for you?
Salvador's great, man. He's just such a good hard worker. He really matches our kid's style. He's a hard worker himself, and, he tries really hard. He tries really hard to, get the best out of the kids, and that's really all we want. And, he's very personable with the kids like me, and so, they love him, and they love having him, and, they loved having Javi too. And, going back to Javi, they are leaps and bounds growing. They're looking really, really good. Got a great group of girls. They got a great senior class with Haley Robbins, Ashley Noe, McKenna Gamble finally coming back from her ankle surgery. Got a great group of girls there. So, I'm really excited to see them in district. I think that they can compete for a district title this year. So, yeah.
What I like about Javier is he's very, even keel. He doesn't get, real upset.
He's not me. He's not highs and lows.
Yeah, he's really
he's very
an even keel coach, and that's bound to help you. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, it takes all types.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I like the coaches that obviously are really into it, like you are, and I like the guys that are kind of, have that calming influence, especially on a team like his that didn't have a lot of success last year.
Yeah.
And he's kind of leading them along.
That's perfect for them. That's what they needed, though. They needed somebody to come into their program and say, hey, guys, don't hit the panic button. We're fine. We're okay. We've got a lot of talent here. Let's just build it. Let's grow it, and let's move on. And that they didn't need anybody to come and, kill them or anything, because they had talent in the program. They just needed it to kind of get reformed, and I think he's done a great job of that. And, I think they're going to go do big things this year in district. So,
Coach, best of luck Friday. Big game coming up with Lovejoy, and a good win last night.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right, Alexi Upton, Wildcat Soccer. Brittany Tisdell to talk about Lady Cats basketball coming up. Let's take our second internal break. Back in a moment. And Lady Cats basketball coach Brittany Tisdell, after I called it a heartbreaking loss last night. The Lady Cats played, I thought, so well. It's probably one of the best games I've seen them play this year. And it's just one of those deals. I mean, probably going into the gym, I say, Brittany, here's the deal. In the last seconds, you'll have the last shot to either win or lose. You take that. Take it every time on the road, won't you?
Almost.
Almost, okay. The shot didn't fall.
I just feel like we did play so great, and we just came out not so good in the second half, in the third quarter, and so I feel like we really lost the game in the third quarter. Not at the end, not the last second shot. Like, I'm glad we got it. I'm glad we had a chance at it, and I'm putting a freshman in that position to take that shot and do that, and that's a big thing, for a freshman. It will be good for her eventually. It was hard for her last night, but eventually putting her in that situation will be good for her. But it was rough last night. But yeah, I just think third quarter is what killed us. We gave up 16 points, and that was too many.
But again, a very competitive game. You're playing a good team. That you're on the road and all those things. And we've had several games like that. I remember the Sherman game. Where went on the road and played very, very well like that. So
Yeah.
they're coming along.
They are, and sometimes I have to remind myself, they are so young, and we did have to replace so many. Like, we're pretty much playing with a completely brand new team, and four of those, like Hannah Cordell, she didn't play a minute of varsity or high school basketball last year because of that knee. So it's like we're really playing 4 freshmen, and sometimes I have to tell myself, they're young, they're coming, they'll get there. It's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be instant, but I just see the potential. I see how great we can be and we will be, and so that's where I'm like, just breathe, take a minute, because we are gonna be great. It's just gonna take us a little bit.
Very impressed, to continue to be impressed with the play of Nyla Lindley, the way she's playing, scoring some points for you that you need her to do that. She didn't need to score last year. She just needed to do other things, but she's scoring, but big time rebounding and just battling with a very athletic Texas High team in there, trying to get as many rebounds as they can. She was a good rebounder. Hannah did a we just see, especially on the defensive end, she's a big time rebounder. And even Kate Womack will help you out on the rebounds. I thought the rebounding was good for the Lady Cats.
Nala really stepped up last night. It was a big game for her. You could tell she really wanted it. She wanted to win, and she stepped up. She scored 14, and so it was a big game for her. And Hannah didn't. She only had 2. She didn't score, and those were all free throws. She didn't score much, but she's such a big presence, in the paint.
Had a ton of blocks, too.
Yeah.
Blocks some of those shots in there.
We want her to score more over people. We're working on that with her, but defensively, she's such a big presence in the paint. Like, it helps. It's hard to score on us in the paint because of her.
If 3 girls are standing around and one of them's 6'2" and a bigger girl, she's going to get the foul every time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that, and every time 2 players can make the same play, and the 6'2" girl is going to get the foul.
Yeah. No, it's most of our games she gets in foul trouble, and we have to sit her, and that does hurt us a little bit. But you'd think she's so big, like she just has to stand there and put her hands up, like they would never call a foul, but no,
They do.
every time.
Shaquille O'Neal could write a book on it, because he lived that his whole life, being a big fella in the NBA. He would draw those fouls. Of course, a lot of people thought he dished them out too, but that's just a fact of life. Seemed like when you watch the basketball games. How did you think the team handled the pressure and the press? We got the full court press. I thought it was a better handling of the press than maybe we've seen.
It was better. Definitely better. We still had some turnovers that didn't need to happen, or they were unnecessary, and just little stuff where we kind of start to panic. Like, they start scoring, they get a little momentum, and we start to kind of panic a little bit. But for the most part, overall, like, we did a really good job handling their pressure and seeing the floor, looking up and passing the ball. So it was much better.
I thought Kenzie Willis looked like I don't know if she's totally back, but 10 points in the last game, 16 in this one. So she's hitting some threes. She's beginning to kind of get in that rhythm. She looked awfully rusty that first game, but she seems to be really coming back.
Yeah, well, that first game, it was under limited minutes, and it was really her first day back. She hadn't even got to practice yet.
Oh, wow.
And so we put her in, because she was dying to go in. And she was ready to play. And so I let her play a little bit. I was a little timid for her to play just because she hadn't practiced, and I was a little worried about her, but she did good. And then, after having a couple practices, she was back rolling last night, so she did really well.
Absolutely good to have her back, and so we'll have more to talk about. Let's take our third internal break, and we'll come back and wrap it up with Coach Tisdell right after this. Back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, talking about Lady Cats basketball with Coach Brittany Tisdell. Tough loss last night in Texas High, 43-42, right down to the wire. And Coach, I know 1-4 is not where you want to be, but You got a whole second half to come up. The only thing is, 3 of them on the road, 2 at home, and starts out with 2 road games this week against teams that were very, very tough. We'll go to Royce City, and as far as I know, they still haven't lost in district. And then Lindale coming up on Friday, and they've had some wins and some losses.
They, Royce City won last night to put them stand out first. They don't have a loss, but everybody else, we're all beating each other, getting beat all over the place. Like Greenville beat Lindale last night.
Wow.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Wow.
And so, which is great, in our situation, the where we're sitting right now. It's great for us because, we have a chance still. We can still do it. And our girls getting better and better. We can do it. So it's actually turned into a great situation for us. So we do have a chance to get to the second round and have a run at it.
You got to like the way the girls are playing. Seem like they're playing awfully hard and continuing to give a lot of effort and stuff.
They do. Ours do play hard. Sometimes they wait to play hard, and that's what drives me nuts. They'll wait and be like, "Oh, we're in this game," or "Oh, we're down by 20. Let's play now." And I'm like, "No, we can't wait. We gotta from the jump to the buzzer, everything you got, 100%." And for the most part, last night, they did that, and so we're working on it. The little stuff, like I said, I still have to remind myself how young we are, and that I am having to teach that little stuff and make sure we're doing those things. But they want it, and that's a good thing. Is they want to play, they want to win, and that's half the battle right there. So.
And so Royce City is coming up, an awfully tough team, as we mentioned, but who knows, when they might take a night off or something, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Do that against us.
Especially, right now they might, but that's what this morning, we already had practice because Kenzie's going to Keeson's game in San Antonio, so we practiced way early, and we were watching film, that film, and just breaking down some stuff, looking at it, and I was telling mine, you don't think you're as good as this player. We are as good as these girls right here, and you are as good of a player. And they really were yeah, we are. And so I think they're finally starting to get their mindset right. I feel like our biggest problem is more mindset, going in confident, we are good, act like it, play like it. And so I feel like if we can conquer that battle of our mindset getting right, then we'll do outstanding in the second half.
All right. Well, best of luck in the second half, Coach. And again, we have 2 games at home, 3 on the road. 2 of them coming up this week. It sounds like Lindale is really up and down. They can play. They played very, very well against us, but then to lose to Greenville, I'm sure that was they had a terribly bad game there, and we handled Greenville. I mean, it just goes back and forth. You can see just whichever team shows up tonight, and so we hope the Lady Cats show up a lot in the second half.
Yes.
Best of luck with it. I know it's bound to be a trying year for you. A rebuilding year is awfully tough, and I don't even know if your dad can give you a lot of advice. Does he ever rebuild over in Paris? Seem like every year is a good one for him.
Yeah, he really hasn't yet, ever since he took that over. And those Paris boys, man, they want to play basketball. It's crazy. He's got kids from little Boys and Girls Club, and they love basketball. So he's had rebuilding years at other schools though. So he's I've had years where I won 6 games. So you just suck it up. Okay.
Yeah, they have a tremendous number of athletes over in Paris. Coach Owens, when he saw them play football this year, he said they may be the best athletes I've ever seen.
They are.
They're incredibly athletic. So he gets some good ones and makes the most of them.
Yeah.
And I know you will too. You do a good job, and the wins will come. But sometimes it's a tough year. So
Yeah.
very good. I'm glad to have you on. Appreciate you coming in on Saturday morning. And that's going to wrap up our coaches show for today as the hammering and banging continues. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Don Julian. So long, everybody.